Jessica Warren was jolted awake by a sharp, pounding knock at her door. Boom, boom, boom. Her heart raced. She fumbled for her phone, squinting at the time, 12:37 a.m. Who the hell knocks at this hour? Another loud bang. Ms. Warren, open the door. This is the sheriff's department. Jessica froze. The eviction notice. Her chest tightened. They said she had 30 days. She had been counting every one of them. She still had a week left. Didn't she? She stumbled out of bed, rushing to the door. When she opened it, the harsh fluorescent hallway light blinded her. A uniformed deputy stood before her, along with her landlord, a man she had paid rent to for the last 7 years. Behind them, a locksmith was already pulling out his tools. Jessica's stomach dropped. "This must be a mistake," she said quickly, her voice cracking. "I thought I had until the landlord shook his head. "The expedited eviction was granted. You were supposed to be out last week." Jessica's mind spun. She had lost her job 2 months ago. She had applied everywhere, but no one wanted to hire a 52-year-old woman when they could hire someone younger, cheaper, and now, just like that, she was being erased. Her voice wavered. I just need a little more time. I'll get the money, I swear. I just need..." The deputy cut her off, his tone flat. "Ms. Warren, you have 5 minutes to collect your belongings." Jessica felt her knees buckle. 5 minutes? She turned to the landlord. "Please," she whispered. "I've lived here for years. You know me." The landlord exhaled. "Jessica, I'm sorry, but this isn't personal. The bank owns this unit now. I have no say in it." But the look in his eyes said it all. He wasn't sorry. Jessica's throat burned. She wanted to fight, argue, scream. But she knew it wouldn't matter. The world had already decided she didn't belong here anymore. Thrown out like she was nothing. Jessica rushed inside, grabbing whatever she could. A duffel bag, her wallet, a pair of jeans, a sweater, her old work heels. The apartment around her blurred as panic took over. The bed she had slept in for years. The kitchen table where she ate breakfast every morning. The couch where she watched movies with Emma when she was little. This was her life, and she was being pushed out of it. She grabbed a framed photo of Emma from the nightstand, her hands shaking. The locksmith cleared his throat. "Ma'am, we need to secure the unit." Jessica clutched the picture tighter. She wanted to beg, but she had already begged, and no one cared. Her landlord took a step back as she walked out, the bag weighing heavy on her shoulder. Behind her, the door clicked shut. Jessica flinched. That was the sound of her life being locked away. And just like that, she wasn't just evicted, she was erased. Nowhere to go. Jessica stood on the sidewalk, the cold air biting at her skin. She gripped the duffel bag like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. The street was eerily quiet, but she could feel eyes watching. Her. Neighbors peeking through their curtains, people passing by, pretending not to see. She wasn't Jessica Warren anymore. She was just another homeless woman on the street. Her hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. She only had one person left to call. She dialed. The phone rang. Once. Twice. Then, "Mom?" Jessica exhaled in relief. "Emma," she choked out. I need your help." A pause. A long pause. Jessica felt her stomach twist. Then finally, "Mom, I don't think I can help you right now." Jessica's world tilted. Her legs weakened. Her own daughter, her last hope, had just turned her away. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to speak. "I just need a place to stay for a few nights." Another silence. Then, "Mom, I have roommates. I don't have space for you." Jessica's chest tightened. "Not even for a few nights?" Jessica could barely breathe. "I'll send you some money tomorrow," Emma muttered. "But that's all I can do." Jessica let out a bitter laugh. Money. Her own daughter would rather send her money than offer her a place to sleep. "Good night, Emma," she whispered. Then she hung up, and this time she didn't call back. The first night without a home, Jessica sat on a bus stop bench, her entire body shaking. She had nowhere to go, no job, no money, no home. And for the first time in her life, she was completely alone. The night stretched on, endless and mercilessly cold. Jessica pulled her coat tighter around herself. She stared at the pavement, eyes unfocused. The world around her moved on without her. People went home. Lights in apartment windows turned off. Life continued. But for her, everything had stopped. And the terrifying realization hit her like a freight train. She wasn't just having a bad night. She had no home to go back to. And the worst part? No one cared. Jessica sat on the freezing bus stop bench, her fingers numb from the cold. Her mind kept replaying Emma's words over and over. "I don't have space for you." Jessica let out a slow, shaky breath. Her own daughter had turned her away, not with anger, not with cruelty, but with indifference. And somehow, that hurt even more. One last hope. Jessica checked her phone. 3:14 a.m. She had one last chance. Her brother. Matt was younger than her, married, 2 kids. A good guy. He would help. He had to. Jessica dialed. The phone rang once, twice. Then a tired, groggy voice. "Jess?" Relief flooded her chest. "Matt, I need your help," she said quickly, her voice thick with exhaustion. Silence. Then, "Jess, what's going on?" Jessica swallowed. "I lost my apartment. I just need a place to stay for a little while, just until I figure something out." Another pause. Then, "Where's Emma?" Jessica felt her throat tighten. She hesitated. "She can't take me in right now." Matt sighed, and for the first time, Jessica heard the hesitation in his voice. "Jess," he said carefully, "I have the kids. And Karen. I don't know if she'd be comfortable with." Jessica's stomach dropped. "You don't know if your own sister can sleep on your couch?" she whispered. Matt was quiet. "Then I just think maybe a shelter would be better, just for now." Jessica felt something inside her crack. A shelter. Her own brother wanted her to go to a homeless shelter, as if she was some stranger, as if she wasn't his family. Jessica inhaled sharply. "I get it," she said, her voice shaking. "Jess, good night, Matt." She hung up before she could hear any more excuses. No place to go. Jessica sat there, staring at the dark screen of her phone. Her own daughter, her own brother. They had both turned her away. She wasn't wanted. She wasn't anyone's priority. She was just a burden. Jessica closed her eyes, gripping her coat tighter. A gust of wind whipped through the empty street, sending a chill through her body. She needed to find somewhere, anywhere, to go. A shelter. A church. A place that wouldn't lock her out. She forced herself to stand, her legs weak beneath her. And with nothing but the bag on her back, she started walking. The reality of being homeless by dawn. Jessica's feet ached. She had walked for miles, searching for a shelter with space, but at every door she was met with the same answer. "We're full. Try again tomorrow." "There's a women's shelter across town, but they're at capacity too." Jessica stood outside the last shelter, her breath coming in short, painful gasps. The sky was a dull gray, the city beginning to stir. People rushed to work, coffee in hand. Mothers walked their kids to school. Life was moving forward. And Jessica? She had never felt more invisible. She took a shaky step back from the shelter's doors. She had nowhere left to turn. She had spent one night on the street, and she wasn't sure if she could survive another. What was she supposed to do now? Jessica wandered the city streets, her body aching from exhaustion. Her feet were swollen, her lips were cracked, her coat, once warm, felt paper-thin against the biting wind. She had been awake for over 24 hours. She had gone from having a home, a bed, a life, to having nothing. And the most terrifying part? No one cared. People walked past her without a glance. A businessman checked his watch as she shuffled by. A woman pushed a stroller, eyes fixed on her phone. Jessica wasn't a person anymore. She was just part of the background. Desperation sets in. Jessica stood outside a 24-hour coffee shop, staring through the glass. It was warm inside. People sat at tables, laughing, sipping their drinks. A normal world. A world she wasn't part of anymore. Her stomach growled. She had $24 left, enough for a coffee and maybe a sandwich. But if she spent it, then what? She looked around, heart pounding. She had never begged before. But what choice did she have? She spotted a man stepping out of the cafe, tossing his half-full coffee into the trash. Jessica's mouth went dry. Could she do this? She took a hesitant step toward him. "Sir," she started. He didn't even slow down. Didn't even look at her. Jessica felt her face burn. She turned away, chest tight with humiliation. How did it come to this? How had she gone from a woman with a career to a woman who couldn't even get a stranger to look her in the eye? She clutched her bag and walked away. She would rather starve than feel like this. The first true night of homelessness Jessica found an alley behind a closed convenience store. She sank onto the cold pavement, pulling her coat tighter. She had seen people sleep like this before. She had always thought, how do they end up there? Now she knew. It didn't take much. One lost job, one missed rent payment, one unexpected disaster, and suddenly, you were no one. Jessica curled up, her head resting against her duffel bag. She tried to close her eyes. But every time she drifted off, a noise startled her awake. A distant shout, a car horn, a set of footsteps too close. Her body was exhausted, but her fear kept her alert. By the time morning arrived, Jessica had barely slept. She sat up, bones aching. She needed to find a way out of this, but how? She had no home, no job, no family to help. For the first time, she truly didn't know what to do next. The encounter that changed everything. Jessica made her way to a church soup kitchen. She hated being there. She hated standing in line for a meal like she was helpless. But she was hungry. When she reached the front, a volunteer, a woman in her 60s, handed her a tray. "First time?" the woman asked. Jessica hesitated. Then she nodded. The woman smiled softly. "Sit with me," she said. Jessica frowned, but for some reason she followed. And just like that, her story wasn't over yet. Jessica sat across from the woman, gripping the tray of food. She hadn't eaten in almost 2 days. The stew was watery, the bread was stale. But she ate every bite. Because when you're hungry, food isn't about taste. It's about survival. She barely looked up until, "You don't belong here," the woman said. Jessica froze. Her spoon hovered in midair. Then, slowly, she looked up. The woman, early 60s, silver hair, sharp eyes, stared at her, unimpressed. Jessica swallowed. "What?" the woman smirked. "You're sitting like this is temporary." Jessica blinked. "It is temporary," she muttered. The woman raised an eyebrow. "You think you're different from the rest of us?" Jessica stiffened. "I had a job," she said. "I had an apartment." The woman nodded, like she'd heard it before. "So did I." Jessica stared. The woman leaned forward. "Let me guess. You lost your job. Bills piled up. You tried, but no one was hiring a woman your age. Then, before you knew it, you were standing on a sidewalk with nowhere to go." Jessica's stomach twisted, because that was exactly what had happened. She set her spoon down, hands shaking. "How did you?" the woman smirked. "Because I was you, 10 years ago." Jessica's chest tightened. The woman took a slow sip of her water. "Name's Linda." Jessica hesitated. Then, for the first time in days, she said her name out loud. "Jessica." Linda nodded. "Well, Jessica," she said, "you have 2 choices. You can sit here and wait for someone to save you." She leaned in. "Or you can save yourself." Jessica held her breath, because for the first time since this nightmare began, she felt something she thought she had lost forever: hope. The rules of survival over the next few hours. Jessica listened. Linda had been homeless for years. She had crawled out of it, and now she helped women like Jessica. "You don't know how to be homeless," Linda said, leaning back. Jessica flushed. "That's not exactly a skill I wanted to have," she muttered. Linda chuckled. "No one does, but you better learn fast." Jessica swallowed. She didn't want to learn. She wanted her life back. But her life was gone, and if she wanted to survive, she needed to start over. "The first lesson, where to go when you have nowhere. First rule," Linda said, gesturing around. "Libraries are your best friend." Jessica frowned. "Why?" Linda smirked. "They're warm, safe, free Wi-Fi. You can sit in a corner, charge your phone, look for jobs, and no one will kick you out." Jessica's eyes widened. She had never thought about that. "Second rule," Linda continued. "You never sleep in the same place twice." Jessica stiffened. Linda's smirk faded. "You don't get it yet," she said. "Being a homeless woman is different. You're a target." Jessica's stomach dropped. She thought about the man who had tried to take her bag last night. Linda sighed. "You're not safe out here, Jessica. But you can learn how to be. Jessica nodded slowly. Because she didn't just need food. She didn't just need shelter. She needed a plan. And for the first time, she wasn't figuring it out alone. The job no one wanted, but she took anyway. Third rule, Linda said. You need to work, even if it's just a few dollars at a time. Jessica scoffed. Who's going to hire me without an address? Linda smirked. You'd be surprised. She pointed across the street. A small diner. Through the window, a middle-aged waitress rushed between tables, overworked and exhausted. Jessica frowned. They won't hire me. Linda raised an eyebrow. How do you know? Jessica hesitated. Linda stood up. Come on, she said. Let's find out. Jessica's pulse quickened. She wasn't ready. She wasn't prepared. But she followed Linda inside. And just like that, she took the first step toward getting her life back. Jessica stepped into the tiny diner, the warmth hitting her immediately. The air smelled like coffee and fried bacon. Customers sat in cracked vinyl booths, their conversations blending into a low hum. Behind the counter, a waitress in her 50s rushed between orders, her face flushed with exhaustion. Linda nudged Jessica. See? She whispered. They need help. Jessica hesitated. She looked down at herself, wrinkled clothes, shoes worn thin, a face that hadn't seen a mirror in days. Who would hire someone like her? Before she could turn. Away, Linda marched straight to the counter. Doris, she called out. The waitress, Doris, glanced up, wiping her hands on her apron. Her sharp gaze landed on Linda, then flicked over to Jessica. You need something, Linda? Linda smirked. Yeah, she needs a job. Jessica's stomach twisted. Doris sighed. Hiring's a mess right now. Can barely keep the lights on. Jessica felt her hope flicker. But then, a crash from the kitchen. A voice shouted, Doris, Miguel just quit. Jessica's pulse spiked. Doris groaned, rubbing her temples. Linda grinned. Well, ain't that convenient, she muttered. Doris's gaze snapped to Jessica. You ever wait tables? Jessica swallowed. She hadn't. She had spent 20 years in an office behind a desk, but she knew how to work, and she knew how to survive. I learn fast, she said. Doris narrowed her eyes. Show up on time, work hard, no attitude, one screw up and you're out. Jessica's breath caught. That's it? Doris snorted. Honey, half the people I hire don't last a week. You want a chance? Take it. Jessica's fingers trembled. She hadn't heard those words in months. You want a chance? She did. She nodded. Yes, she whispered. Doris tossed a waitress apron on the counter. Start tomorrow, 6 a.m. Don't be late. Jessica picked it up, the fabric rough between her fingers. She turned to Linda, eyes wide. Linda smirked. Told you, she said. Now let's get you cleaned up. You got work to do. A second chance, but at what cost? Jessica slept in the shelter that night. For the first time in weeks, she had a reason to wake up in the morning. She had a job, a way to fight back. But as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling covered in water stains, doubt crept in. Could she really do this? Was she just delaying the inevitable? She had been a professional once. She had built a career, and now? Now she was taking a job that no one else wanted. Her chest tightened. Would Emma be ashamed? Would Matt shake his head and say, I told you so? Jessica swallowed. It didn't matter, because for the first time since losing everything, she was taking her life back. The alarm on Jessica's phone buzzed at 4:30 a.m. She jerked awake, heart pounding. For a split second, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the cramped shelter dorm, the rows of bunk beds filled with other women, the dim, flickering light overhead. And she remembered. She had lost everything, but today she was going to fight for something back. She pushed herself out of bed, grabbed the apron Doris had given her, and stepped into the cold morning air, thrown into the fire by 5:45 a.m. Jessica stood outside the diner, breath visible in the freezing air. She hesitated, her stomach churned. What if she messed up? What if she wasn't fast enough? What if Doris took one look at her and decided she had made a mistake? Jessica clenched her fists. She had survived worse than this. She took a deep breath and pushed open the door. The diner was already alive. The smell of burning toast and coffee, the sound of plates clanking, orders being shouted. Doris barely glanced up. You're early. Good. Apron on, let's go. Jessica tied her apron, hands shaking. Doris handed her a coffee pot. See those booths? Start pouring. Jessica nodded quickly. She walked to the first table, forcing a smile. Good morning, can I top off your coffee? The man barely looked up. She poured. No spill, no mistake. One table down, then another, and another. She could do this. And for the first time in months, she wasn't invisible. She was working. She was part of something again. Not everyone was kind, but by mid-morning, Jessica was overwhelmed. Orders piled up. Customers snapped at her. Where's my omelet? I asked for no sugar. Are you new or just slow? Jessica's cheeks burned. She rushed from table to table trying to keep up. Then, it happened. She turned too fast. A plate of hot pancakes slipped from her grip. Crash. The plate shattered on the floor. The entire diner went silent. Doris whirled around. Jessica froze, heart pounding. She braced for it. The yelling, the firing, the humiliation. But Doris just sighed. Clean it up, get back to work. Jessica blinked. That was it? No screaming, no get out? Just clean it up and keep going. She bent down, grabbing a rag, her hands still shaking. And she realized she could handle this. She could survive this. She could keep going. The tip that changed everything, by the end of her shift, Jessica's feet ached. Her back throbbed. She had messed up a dozen times, but she had also kept going. She untied her apron, rubbing her sore wrists. Then, as she cleaned the last table, she spotted something under a plate, a $20 bill. Jessica stared. A tip. Someone had seen her struggle. Someone had seen her trying. And they had left this. Her throat tightened. It wasn't just about the money. It was proof. She wasn't useless. She wasn't done. She tucked the bill into her pocket, blinking back tears. For the first time since losing everything, she had earned something again. And no one could take that away from her. Jessica stuffed the crumpled $20 into her pocket and stepped outside the diner. The afternoon sun hung low, casting long shadows on the sidewalk. She was exhausted. Her feet ached. Her uniform was stained with coffee and grease. But she had survived her first shift, and for the first time in weeks, she had money that she had earned. She wanted to savor that feeling. But then, her phone buzzed. Jessica's heart jumped. She pulled it out with trembling fingers. Emma. For a long second, she just stared at the screen. Her daughter hadn't called since that night. Since she had turned her away. Jessica swallowed hard, then pressed accept. The conversation she wasn't ready for, Mom? Jessica closed her eyes. She had missed that voice, but she didn't know how to answer it now. She cleared her throat. Hi, Emma. A pause. Then, I heard you got a job. Jessica's stomach clenched. How did you? Uncle, Matt told me. Jessica exhaled sharply. Matt. Of course. She waited for Emma to say more. For some kind of apology. For her to ask if she was okay. But Emma's voice was hesitant. I didn't think you'd actually do it. Jessica's jaw tightened. Do what? Emma hesitated. Pull yourself together, she admitted. After everything. After Dad left. After you lost the house. I thought you would just give up. Jessica's fingers curled into a fist. That's what you thought of me? She asked quietly. Another pause. Then, I don't know, Emma murmured. I just didn't know how to help you. Jessica's chest ached. You didn't have to help me, Emma, she said, her voice rough. You just had to be there. Another silence. Then, can we meet? Jessica hesitated. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to pretend everything was fine. But it wasn't. She wasn't ready to forget. She wasn't ready to forgive. So instead she whispered, Not yet. Emma was silent. And then in the smallest voice she said, Okay, and the line went dead. Jessica tucked the phone back into her pocket, her heart heavy. She had thought getting a job would fix everything, but some things weren't so easy to fix. A life rebuilt. Piece by piece, Jessica walked back toward the shelter, the city bustling around her. She had made it through today. She had earned a little bit of money. But this wasn't just about a paycheck. It was about proving to herself that she could stand on her own. She wasn't the same woman who had lost everything in one night. She was becoming someone new. And as she stepped into the shelter, passing women who were still where she had been a few weeks ago, she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't just going to survive, she was going to help others do the same. Because she had learned something valuable: when you have nothing left, the only way forward is to build something new. Jessica lay awake in her cot at the shelter, staring at the water-stained ceiling. For weeks, she had felt like she was drowning, homeless, jobless, abandoned by the people she had once called family. But now she had a job, a paycheck, and maybe, just maybe, a second chance. But was it enough? Jessica turned her head, her gaze landing on the women around her. Some curled into themselves, shivering despite the thin blankets. Some lay awake, eyes hollow and lost. Jessica knew that look. She had worn that look, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was one of the lucky ones, that if it weren't for Linda, she might have still been sleeping on a bench. She swallowed hard. She had fought to pull herself up. But what about them? What about the women who didn't have a Linda? Jessica sat up, a thought taking root. She wasn't just going to rebuild her life, she was going to help others do the same. A plan no one believed in. The next morning, Jessica walked into the diner for her second shift, determined. Linda sat at the counter, sipping black coffee. "Morning, superstar," she smirked. Jessica slid onto the stool next to her. "I want to do something," she blurted out. Linda raised an eyebrow. "That's vague," Jessica exhaled. "I want to start something," she clarified. "For women like us. The ones who fell through the cracks." Linda set her coffee down. "Like what? A shelter? A charity?" Jessica hesitated. She had no money, no resources, but she had time. "I don't know yet," she admitted. "But I can start small. Maybe help women at the shelter find jobs. Help them get their first paycheck. Like you helped me." Linda studied her for a long moment. Then she chuckled. "Well, damn," she said. "You really mean it, don't you?" Jessica nodded. Linda smirked. "Good, because I know where you can start." The first woman she helped that night, Jessica returned to the shelter and found her. A woman sitting alone in the corner, knees tucked to her chest. She looked just like Jessica had weeks ago. Jessica sat beside her. "First night?" she asked gently. The woman flinched, as if she hadn't expected anyone to talk to her. Then she nodded. Jessica smiled softly. "You're not alone," she said. The woman looked at her, skeptical. Jessica understood. She had been there, so she pulled the $20 tip from her pocket, and she placed it in the woman's hand. "Someone once helped me when I thought I had nothing left," she said. "Now, I'm helping you." The woman stared at the bill, then at Jessica. Her lip trembled. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Jessica realized something. She hadn't just found herself again. She had become the person she had once needed. And that was worth more than any paycheck. Because sometimes, when you've lost everything, you find a new purpose. Jessica's story reminds us of something important. Losing everything doesn't mean losing yourself. She had every reason to give up. No home, no family support, no opportunities. But she refused to let the world decide her worth. Instead, she proved that the best revenge isn't about anger, it's about proving them wrong. Now, I want to hear from you. What would you do in Jessica's situation? Comment 2 feet if you found her story inspiring. Comment 7 feet if you think she should have done something differently. And don't forget, if you love powerful, real-life stories like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. I'll see you in the next story.